What is this?
Share. So he was the mashkiach.
Microphones off.
What? For?
Man.
Hi, Maj.
Aye. Okay. They're finishing a Ma'ariv over here. I just might answer Baruch Hu in a moment, and then we'll start. We're going to have to make it a little bit later after Shavuos, because Ma'ariv is much later now. Okay, today we're talking about not just anger, but also patience, right? So please have patience for one moment. Baruch Adonai and Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Okay, let's go. We're talking about anger. We're talking also about savlanus, about patience. Two attributes that we desperately need in these difficult corona years. We need both of these. And we spoke a little bit about anger last week. And not only do you have to speak about anger, but what about our response to somebody who is angry at us, right? Do we respond to that person in an angry way, or do we respond to that person by being very cool, calm, and collected? That makes a difference. I want to start by a story. Which is found in Along the Maggid's Journey, one of Pesach Krohn's very special sforim. And the story goes like this. There was a family, Yankee and Ella Mulder in Flatbush. I'm not sure if that's their real name, but it might be. And they had a terrible tragedy. They lost their son only 7 weeks after his bar mitzvah, right? Only 7 weeks, a young fellow. His son was in perfect health. And it was 7 weeks after the bar mitzvah, and he was practicing his clarinet in his room, and suddenly he collapsed, and he passed away with a fatal aneurysm. So this was a terrible tragedy, and it made it very, very difficult for them. They loved him very much, and it was very hard for them. But they had other children to take care of. They were very, very busy also. And one Erev Shabbos, about just a few weeks afterwards, one Erev Shabbos, the mother had to go with her 17-year-old daughter. 17-year-old daughter, that was the only appointment she could get at the motor vehicles, the Department of Motor Vehicles. She was getting her license. And so the mother's not going to let her 17-year-old daughter go there alone. She went with her. She said they could take about 3 hours. She had time. So the mother took her to sit her. Did you have a chance to daven? Very often she's too busy to daven. So she's davening. And she decided that, it was so crowded there by the wall, but it came time to daven Shmona Esrei, and it was hard for her to daven in the Department of Motor Vehicles with a rush and a hustle and that. So she saw a small room, and she doesn't remember. She saw that on the small room it was written for official use only. But she went into the small room, and the small room she saw there was an alcove there, and she started davening Shmona Esrei there. Well, she's getting close to Shomea Tefillah, and suddenly she hears someone coming into the room, and she yells at the person coming into the room. she yells at the person, right? I'm sorry, she yells, the person coming through the room yells at her. What are you doing here? You don't belong here. Get out of here. And she kept on davening, thinking the person will see that she's praying and leave her alone. But the person did not. He said, I'm going to call an officer if you don't get out of here. She kept on praying. And then, she saw that it was getting serious. So she pointed to her siddur, and she pointed to her lips and she can't talk, right? But this person just came after her. And this woman grabbed her by the arm, yanked her, and threw her against the wall, right? Her siddur dropped on the floor, and they was thrown against the wall. Now, that would be ample reason for somebody to yell back, what do you think you are doing, to get angry, to give her back some of what she was. But she kept calm. She kept calm and put together. And she just turned towards this woman and said, I don't understand. Don't you see that I was praying? Why did you do this to me? And she just, the woman yelled at her, you can pray wherever you want to, but not in here. And she just kept calm and consolidated, and she just turned and she walked out of the room, and she went to a wall in the motor vehicles, and she didn't want her daughter to see her. She just put her head towards the wall and started crying. A few minutes later, she feels a hand on her shoulder. And she turns around, and there is the woman saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I did that to you.
Yeah.
And she turns towards the woman. She says, didn't you see that I was davening? I was praying. And you say davening. She says, didn't you say I was praying to God? And she said, if you knew what I went through, she said, I just lost my my bar mitzvah boy 7 weeks after his bar mitzvah. He just passed away. Such a loss. And I have little time to pray. I was just trying to pray to God. And this woman looked at her and she said, I'm so sorry. I did a terrible thing.
Yeah, you did.
I am Jewish. She told her, I am Jewish. And I please forgive me. Well, they talked for a few minutes, and she gave her the impression that she would forgive her. And then her daughter was finished, she got a license, and they left. Next week, after Shabbos, she went to a shir. Rav Shaya Cohen. We all know Rav Shaya Cohen, right? So in Flatbush, she gave a shir on Kiruv, right? So she went there, and after the shir, she told him about her experience, and he said, you have to go back. You have to go back, right? He said, why? What should I tell her? It doesn't matter. Don't talk about religion. Just go back. You made a connection. You have to go back. You never know what may come out of it. Go back. Right? Okay. So she took a friend with her. She went back, and she went in, and she went into the room where this person was, and the person jumped up and shook her hands and smiled and said, I'm so glad you came. I have something I want to share with you. So this other woman left, and they were alone, and she told her this. He said that this Friday night, she went to a synagogue. She felt the need to go to a synagogue. She says, I don't remember the last time I stepped into a synagogue. I can't remember when it was. It was so long ago. She went to a synagogue. She said, and she prayed that you should forgive her. She prayed that this woman should forgive her, and she prayed for her son, for the son of this woman, right? And meanwhile, the woman had brought with her a children's book that she had written, and gave it to her and said, to my new friend, and so forth, and they talked to each other, and that's where the story ends. But you see, the Pesach Kron brings out that this woman, that may have been, that visit to the shul may have been her first step back, to real observance and real Judaism, right? And it was all possible. Why? Because this lady had the composure to control herself and not to be angry and to speak quietly. And to her, it made, and he brings a pasuk in Mishlei, which really fits this description, and it also tells us what we do when somebody is angry at us, loses temper at us. Right? It says, "Memane rach yoshiv chema." Ma'ane rach yoshiv chema. It's a pasuk in Mishlei that a soft answer repels anger. She was absolutely angry at her, but her soft answer says, "How could you do this to me? I don't understand." Her soft answer repels that anger. So the way to respond to someone getting angry and losing his temper and really, really giving it to you is to very quietly respond. Ma'ane rach, give back. We'll stop the anger. Okay, we've defined gas as a very bad meter, right? We defined gas as something we have to try to get away from. And we said that the Zohar Kodesh says that when you do lose your temper, right? So for that moment, the neshama leaves you. Your neshama leaves you. You're left in the hands of the Sahara, and you sometimes can't even control what you're saying. You're a different person. If your neshama leaves you, that's it. You're a different person. So we got to really work hard on gas, right? Now, the Rosh in his Orchas Chaim of the Rosh, he says in a very, very non-Kabbalistic way, he says, "V'yisrachek min hasochok ba'kas." Make yourself distant from kas. Ki bilbul rucho v'daito shel adam. Mevavel rucho. That the kas destroys the spirit, and it will destroy the spirit and the neshama of the spirit and the das, the ability to focus, the ability to understand, the ability to answer properly, right? And I want there's a person provoking you, right? And you don't understand, right? Take this as an attitude. Someone's provoking you. Someone's trying to get you angry. Somebody is angry at you. Somebody's trying to criticize you, right? Right. So if you say to yourself, I don't know. I don't understand what he's doing. I think he's doing something very foolish. I think he's off base. I think he's mistaken. I think he's not thinking properly. He's a fool. And if he's a fool, I feel sorry for him. He's yelling at me. He's criticizing me. He's angry at me. I feel sorry for him. And this will work because if you really feel sorry for a person, you can't get angry at him. If you really, really feel sorry for him, you're not going to get angry at him. If you pity somebody, you don't anger someone that you pity. So this will help you gain control. This will help you gain control, right? I'm going to quote something, And I think you're going to tell me, oh, someone just said this now because of Corona. And then I'll tell you who said it. Okay? This is someone said like this, I quote, "These days, given the stresses and tensions of everyday life, many people are irritable and depressed. This may cause them to say things they do not mean and regret saying them. We should keep in mind and give people every consideration."
For a messenger. Now, Fallsburg, can you share you for a messenger? You're gonna be there in the next hour. Also find
I can't. Someone's talking over there, and I can't make out of it. Make whatever. Okay. But do you hear what it's saying? He says these are times of stress and tension, and people are irritable and depressed, and people are going to say things they don't mean, and you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. So you think he's talking right now in Corona? The words are very fitting, but it was. All right. I'm trying to turn off my phone. Okay, I did it. You know who this was? This was Reb Palm. Said some. This is the Rosh Yeshiva Torah Das, Reb Palm. It must have been many years ago. I don't know exactly how many, but it must have been many years ago that he said that. But it seems that we're not the only era of stress and depression because of what is happening around us. Right? Hopefully it's lessening up, and maybe even by next week we're going to have even less restrictions. But right now it's still bothering us. But do you hear? In the time of stress and tension, you have to work on your anger. You have to work on it. Now, if you're going to, if you want to get rid of your anger, what is the positive meter that you need? That's the meter, the Mashgiach writes about it in Ali Shur. That's a meter of savlanos, of patience. That's a meter of patience. And it's very interesting, right? It says, Aish Moshe Anav Ma'od Mikol Adam Asher Al Pnei Adama. Right? The Torah says Moshe Rabbeinu was an Anav. He was humble. He was humble of all the people, right? Rashi says, what's Anav? What does it mean, humble? Shafal v'savlon. He was humble and he was a savlon. He was patient. He had patience for others. He had savlonas, right? Telling us that the need of savlonas comes from humility. It comes from humility. And he gives a very good explanation. He says savlonas. What is a sabal? Sabal is somebody who carries something, right? Someone who's carrying luggage or carrying a heavy thing, heavy burden, right? So the Mashgiach writes like this: you're carrying a heavy burden, and you can't let it go. In your relationships between yourself and other people, you're carrying a heavy burden, right? And you can't allow, the things that he might be saying to you, right? He may say something which stings, and something harsh criticism, and some judgment, right? Or he may ask of you something which is beyond your ability to do, right? Or claim something which is totally inaccurate, right? But the person still has to feel he's carrying that heavy burden. He can't leave the burden go. The burden is the yachasim. The burden is the savlan. And therefore he has to be calm and not an angry response would be to drop the burden. He can't do that. He has to carry it. That's nicer, but we have to be nicer, but we have to carry the burden of our friend and of the relationship, right? And the truth is that it is an outgrowth of humility. A person who has humility, he knows that whatever talents, whatever kishronot, whatever abilities Hashem gave him, it's a gift. It's a gift from Hashem. And he knows also that all the hishtadlus that he makes, all the efforts he makes to accomplish something, to get something done, to create something, all of that, that's his effort. That's the hishtadlus. But who sees to it that it is accomplished? Who achieves it? It's the Bari Olam. Everything is in the hand of Hashem, right? We make the efforts, Hashem makes it happen. So if somebody insults me, right? If someone insults me, why should I lose my temper? For some reason, Hashem felt that this is something that I have to go through. Maybe I'm going to go through this punishment, this suffering, this hard feelings, in order to atone for something. And maybe it's better that I should do it this way than I should be punished in another way. Or maybe it's just a test, right? Maybe it's a test. But so, right? Why should I lose myself? If Hashem didn't will it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So why should I lose myself? And that's now in Ali Shua, the Mashgiach writes also about if we see someone doing an avera, right? That's also a noisy button. And he says there's a difference between savlonis and adishut. We can't be, just not caring and not reacting, right? Someone does an avera, it should hurt us, right? It should hurt us, and we have to give him tochacha. That's a mitzvah, but we should do it haras panim, with love, with appreciation. Someone with your character and your personality and your abilities, you shouldn't have acted that way. You shouldn't have acted that way. That's not becoming of you, in such a way and that's the way he'll accept it also. So even we have to be nice but early in Tavera. Right? That we have to do. And I'd like to end with another story. I think it shows the keiches, the ability, what could happen when somebody is patient. There was a young fellow who was Ben Aliyah, right? He was a rebbe to many talmidim, but he was also a jeweler. He had a jewelry store. And he spoke Arabic very well, and he would buy items from Arabs and then resell them at a good price. So one day he decides he wants to go up to daven by Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, lived in Eretz Yisrael. He wanted to go up to Meron to daven by the Rashbi. And he took a Talmud with him, took one of the Talmudim with him. So on the way up, he happened to pass through some place where he knows that they have very good jewelry. And he took money with him, even borrowed some money so he'd be able to make some purchases. And he has a suitcase. So he purchased jewelry from them. There's some really good stuff. And he puts it in the suitcase. And he goes from place to place, right? When he gets up to Har Meron, he had his own minhag. His minhag was that if he was with people, he would go there himself, not to the Tomb of the Rashbi, but just to Meron, to think and prepare himself. He's a mamash Ben Aliyah. And he would think and prepare himself, and then he'd come back down again, and they would go up, and they would go to the Tomb of the Rashbi and daven there. So he did that, but he told the person who came up with him, listen, keep your hands on the suitcase. Don't let it out of your sight. Don't let it out of your hands. Right? You know what's in it. Right? I invested a lot. Keep your hands on it. Okay. Unaware, both of them, there were some thieves following them. And the thieves they knew what was in the suitcase. and they had their eyes on the suitcase. And they worked out a way of distracting this bacher, making him for a moment leave the suitcase. And they carried out their plan, and they were successful. For one moment, he left the suitcase because of the distraction, doesn't say exactly how it was, and the thieves came, grabbed the suitcase, and ran. When he realized what happened, he was petrified. He was petrified. How could he have done such a thing? He ran after them. They disappeared. So finally, the Rebbe comes back. And he's crying and he's trembling. He said, Rebbe, there were thieves and they stole the suitcase. They got my attention. I put it down for a moment and they stole the suitcase. So Rebbe looked at him and he asked him, tell me something. Did you eat lunch? Did you eat lunch? He didn't say anything about the suitcase. Did you eat lunch? And the said, no, I haven't. I said, look, I brought this up with me. Sit down. Let's eat lunch. So they sat down and he gave him food, and they made brachas and they ate lunch. And he figured, okay, he's being very nice to me. And then as soon as we finish, he's going to really give it to me for being sloppy and for being, and for, they finished lunch and he said, I think it's time for us to go up to the Rashbi. They went up to Rashbi, they davened by the Rashbi. Not a word about his suitcase, not a word about his precious gems, not a word about his investments, not a word about his loss. And that's the way it was. They went home. He did not bring up the subject. Right? Now, the people in Yerushalayim that knew this Yid eventually, I guess if he gave up his jewelry store, he became mamish a chashuv Yid. I don't know who it was, but he became a very, very chashuv Yid. And the people who know him say that the reason that he became such a chashuv Yid was because he didn't react. He didn't lose his temper. He kept control, right? Because he knew that everything's from Hashem. Everything's from Hashem. And if he was meant to have the jewelry and the suitcase, he would have it. And he understood that, and he did not at all react to make this bacher feel bad. That's the story. It's in Living Emunah 3, page 293, in much more and better detail. So what I have to say is like this. Again, we're living in a difficult time. There is a lot of stress. There is a lot of tension with our wives, especially. We could be irritable. We could not have the patience for it, and we could react. We could react by saying something that we regret and by being angry. We could do that not just with our wives, we could do it with our children, we could do it with our friends, our associates, whoever, right? It's a very difficult time for anger and for kepedas and holding grudges, and it's a very difficult time. But now is the time Hashem is giving us, perhaps giving us an opportunity that we can learn how to control ourselves, how to control this midah of anger, how to fill ourselves with patience, fill ourselves with patience and trying to understand the other person and to respond and not to react. And it's an opportunity. And in this opportunity we can have such an aliyah in our own neshamas and hopefully bring Hashem to say die to the sorrows of Klal Yisrael and bring us back to the Beis Hamikdash from here we remain. Okay, I think now I don't know who is supposedly in charge of the. Do you want to open it up to any questions? You want to open up to questions?
Masha, I
Yeah,
have a question.
anyone can.
Mash, I find myself having no patience for people who aren't following the rules with coronavirus. When I go outside, people not wearing their mask or wearing their mask as chin straps or headbands, mostly Schwarzers.
You know, I know how you feel, right? As I told the fellas, I have to be very, very careful, right? Because of a member of my the person who's very, very much in a problem with their lungs and so forth, and if chas v'sholom, it could be very, very serious. And when I go out with my mask and I see people are not wearing masks, it also bothers me. It also bothers me. And actually, I'll tell you something that happened this week. Two of our boys did. We brought our boys back to Telstone. Baruch Hashem, they're sitting and learning. We're going up and learning with them. We have 25 boys now learning in the yeshiva, and but two fellows did what they weren't supposed to do. They went away. And I really was ready to throw them out. And I spoke to some of the Rebbeim. The Rebbeim told me, listen, you have to understand, you're here in Telstone, in the outside world, people they think it's over. The outside world has a totally different concept. And they didn't think it would be fair to ask them to leave because of the way the outside world looks. And I agreed with that. I went along with that. In other words, you tell yourself, look, they don't understand. They're harming me. I have to keep away from them, but they don't understand that it's still with us, and you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And but to get angry at them is not going to accomplish anything. It's not going to accomplish anything. Why? It just makes you feel bad. It doesn't accomplish anything. If there's somebody that you can influence, I talk to the boys and make sure they won't do it again. Okay, that you can do. But if there's nothing that you can do, so you can just say to yourself, look, they don't understand the dangers of it, and I just have to wear my mask and keep away from them. Okay. Anyone else?
It's George Schwartz.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that Dvarma Yotze Ben Alev, Nichlas Ben Alev, said going through something and it's very appropriate. It's just that you should say that right now. What you just said about being patient and forgiving, that's something I needed to hear right now, and I shkoyach for that. I wish you a good yontif. And Amir Hashem, we'll see each other soon.
Thank you very much, and please give my best to all your fellows.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear from them.
Okay. Ellie went on an airplane today, so we down said extra tell him for him.
Where's he going to?
He's going to Houston. He's moving to Houston.
He's moving to Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Chinuch for his children, of all things.
Uh-huh.
But I will tell him I spoke to you.
Okay. Tell him to be in touch. I want to keep in touch with him. Okay, is there anybody else that wants to say something or ask a question?
Yes. Shalom Mash. Yaakov
By the way, one second. Whoever it is, please, I'm trying to find you, and please open yourself so I can talk to you, because otherwise it's very hard to hear. Who is it?
Yaakov Orlievsky.
Yaakov Orlievsky. How are you doing, Yaakov?
Baruch Hashem, very good. Knei Nahar. I hope all's good by the Rav.
Baruch Hashem. Oh, so but you're hiding yourself.
I thought I had my video on. Yeah, I mean, I have my video on. It could be it might take a little bit for the rabbi's computer to process it.
Okay, whatever. And I see other faces on this, 4 faces, but I don't see yours. Okay, whatever. Let's see. What would you like to say? Yeah.
I'd like to say, as soon as the pandemic started, I, along with the masses and many people around the world, started having feelings of fear, which led to, I mean, for me personally, throwing all my bitachon into Kadosh Baruch Hu to like a higher level, and then recognizing that these are times that are pressing us, and it causes us to recognize that we really have no Yeshua but Hashem. And as things progress, you know, the time was lining up for Pesach, and we were in Nisan, and Chazal tells us that we were redeemed in Nisan, and we will be redeemed in Nisan. And I, along with many others, started having feelings and thoughts of the Gula Shlema coming. And then Pesach passed, Nisan passed, and now, yeah, my feelings are fading. I don't have that fire and anticipation that I did. And right now, I'm still in suspense, hoping that he may pop up for Shavuos, because the pandemic came up. Ever since it sprung up, I've been more alert, waiting for Mashiach, significantly more than all the months before, and ever as far back as I can think. That is fading, and I'm feeling a little bit. I don't know. I guess distraught and sort of in a state of Yehush. I'm wondering, are these feelings coming from a false place? You know, when I'm trying to associate the times they're going through with the matzav in the Yiddish parsha.
Your feelings are totally natural. If everybody would have had the feelings that you had Pesach time, right? Then there's no suffix Mashiach would have come. We just have to go out there and get everybody to feel that we're in the era of the Mashiach, and then if we want him enough to come, he's going to come. And don't feel Yehush. Don't feel Yehush, right? He can come tomorrow. He can come tomorrow. Look, it's natural. You're only human, right? But to try to work on yourself to feel strongly that Hashem wants us to feel that it's only Him that can provide a Yeshua, and that this is a time that we're totally dependent on Him, and we have all the things that you felt is that maybe that's why we're going through this. So if somehow you can get other people to join you, be stronger and hope and May Hashem, it'll be a fruition. We'll see it.
Man. Just looking for that boost of chizuk. I just wanted to speak out my heart, and I'm glad I got to hear davar tov from the Mash.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Wilson. Okay, is there anybody else before we? Dave, you got such a normal background over there. What happened?
I don't have my laptop with all the cool pictures. Don't worry, I'll be abnormal for you. Rebbe, are we supposed to stay up all night learning if there's no Hashkama minion or Nate's minion, whatever?
You only have a minion that's not. You have a minion that's not Nate's.
They have these backyard minions that they're up to 10, 15 people, whatever. It seems like I haven't yet found a Nate's minion. I'm hopeful, but I just haven't found one yet.
There is a beginning of learning on Leil Shavuos, right? But it says whenever it says the minhag of learning Leil Shavuos, and the Mishnah Berurah says very clearly, but only if you're going to be able to daven the next day. Right? In other words, if staying up all night is going to mean that you can't concentrate, you can't daven the next day, then you have to sleep. So add to your learning in the nighttime, but go to sleep and daven with a minyan because it's yontif. You have to daven with a minyan, right? That's what I would say. I'm not a paisek, but that's what I would say. That try to add on to your learning more than usual, right? But do get rest so that you can daven with a regular minyan, and keep looking. Maybe you'll find a night's minyan.
Amen. Mitzvah Shem. Rabbi, I'm
Yeah,
still
good
hopeful.
question.
Mashiach, I'm with the last speaker. I believe Mashiach's going to come. I'm excited to be able to learn with you all night, Rabbi, in Eretz Yisrael.
Oh, it's a deal. It's a deal.
All right.
Okay. So we're I hope to have, but Ezes Hashem Yisborach, my first aliyah to the Sefer Torah. I hope to have it on Shavuot morning. Bezos Hashem, if Hashem should give me the koyach, right? And I'm gonna go into I got permission from the doctor to go into the yeshiva with a mask, of course, and everybody there has a mask. Nobody's gonna get an aliyah unless they have a mask, and I hope that we're going to have a second minyan in the day.
What about hand washing?
Right.
Birchas Kohanim hand washing.
We have Kohanim saying Birchas Kohanim outside my window, and I long all the time to wash somebody's hand, but I can't from up here.
Use hand sanitizer. Use the alcohol.
That's right.
Here they gave the Leos to the Balkori, all of them, all the Leos to the Balkori.
Yeah, now that's a safety measure. That's a safety measure.
Much love.
What we have over here, someone made a whole thing of wood with a sheet of plastic in between, and that's how they give the Leahs out. Yeah. But so we probably will give aliyahs out, but it has to be proper that no one's touching it. They'll have to have. They're going to kiss it. They're going to have a gloves, and we'll have gloves there, and we'll have immediately wash their hands before and afterwards.
In Lakewood, we're giving out immunity. In Lakewood, we're giving out immunity passports. Like, just a joke. There's a lot. Everyone was sick, so everyone's pretty immune.
I hope so. I hope so. Really, I would say still be careful because there are doctors who say that it could come back. That the fact you had it once doesn't mean you're going to have it again, or maybe be careful. Be careful. Even Lakewood should be careful. Okay.
Will do.
Thanks, Mosh. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Mosh. Have a good Yontif.
Okay, guys. Listen, we should
Thank you,
Mosh.
you're the best.
We should all have, thank you. Should all have a kosher and sameach and healthy, and together we should have a real Kabbalah Satira together.
Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. All the best.
Nate, are you there?
Yeah,
Nate,
Mosh,
are you
I'm
still
here.
there?
I'm still here.
I don't believe you. I have to see you.
Nate Dog.
I'm walking on this path here, but hold on one second. I'll try to put it on. Hold on here. One second. There we go. You see me, Mosh?
Wait a second. I gotta find you now.
I got to do my makeup.
It could be. It takes a while.
Nate, you look great.
Thanks, man. Thanks, dude. How you doing?
I'm good. Baruch Hashem.
All right.
Have a
there
great
you go.
young. There he is.
Yeah, you as well. You as well. Mosh, how you doing?
Chaz Hashem. Very good. Very good. Very good.
All right.
I,
All right. I have a lot of questions that
where
don't
you-
have answers, so I'm not going to waste your time.
They
Mosh
don't
has all
have
the answers. The Mosh has all the answers.
I think I've come to answers. I think I've come to questions without answers that I think are just the challenge of life, you know? Because people really can't answer them. They're not, there's a disconnect, you know? There has to be a disconnect. We don't get, you know, secret communication, or I haven't verified any ones that I trust. So,
Nate, what you have to do is you have to connect with the one who can answer your questions. And that's
Right.
very early.
right,
Connect
right.
with him and you'll find your answer.
I'm with you. Yeah, it seems like it's just an internal belief and dialogue that has to be refined, you know, consistently. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't have a foolproof insurance. I think my grandfather, and I look to you and some other people that I feel have as close as you can get to, you know, full truth on it. But, you know, a lot of the emotional tendencies seem to shift those perspectives. So you can come to a logical understanding or realization, but doesn't necessarily mean the emotions there, the feelings are there. And that's what we humans are not governed by, but we're influenced by. So, you know, a lot of that stuff to me is just an ongoing maintenance program. Some days are better than others, you know.
Hashem should be with you and help you get to your destination, not only where you're going right now, but where you're going in life.
Thank you. Amen. I appreciate it. I'm just going for some exercise because to me, that's a big
Very
component to my my outlook and my mood and all those things. I realize that's like a medicine. So I got to do what I can, you know.
If you could be yaitzing me, I would ask you to, but you really can't.
Absolutely. I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to outsource this for years. And no matter how wealthy you are, you can't do that. So, no, thank God everything's good. You know, it's hard to understand things. You know, I think there's a lot of better questions than answers, as there always is. So it's just coming to acceptance, accepting the things we can't control and, you know, not letting that disturb our commitments, because our commitments are, you know, hopefully made through logic. Now, Mash, that's my word. I don't know if it's said by greater people. I'm sure it is, but, you know, we tie the shel yad 7 times around our arm, and that's keneged the lave, right? But the shel rosh is one strap on top. And that's where all the decisions have to be made from the mind with the logic. But the emotions, you have to tie down every day of the week 7 times because they can pull you so hard. So you got to keep on wrapping them every day. But then the decisions have to be made with the kesser, with the oter yisrael b'tifar, right? With the crown.
That's
with
right.
the so, you know, I think that's my challenge. It's just I lead with my heart often, which gives me great success. And it also can cause me a lot of pain and challenge and all that. So it's getting the good with the bad. So it's just I'm trying to accept that and, you know, do as best as I can to balance and stay maintained. And that's, like I say, I see the upside.
Beautiful. I think you just said a Zohar.
Oh, really? Okay.
You just said a
awesome.
Zohar.
Yeah, there's so much that feels hard, you know, but there's so much great blessing. It's the same exact thing. You look around, we're walking and talking to each other on this amazing communication. I'm by the beach at Northwestern University, and I'm able to talk to my Rebbe in Israel with a little piece of plastic and metal, you know, and then I have what to complain about. Doesn't make sense. So, you know, who am I to knock the good things? But then, so it's a struggle because there's so much that goes into saying, you know, Hashem does everything. Hashem also governs what we judge to be bad. You know, what we look around and say, how are people sick with cancer? How are people dying all over the place with this virus? And what about the Holocaust? And these are things that Hashem willed to happen just the same. So from an emotional perspective, we like to say that's not fair. But, you know, when we get the promotion and we win the lottery and God is great. So he's always great and he's always not great and he's always everything. So I don't feel that there's an answer to that from an emotional place. I think it's just saying I love opportunity. I love Hashem. He's what Hashem is changing for me, even in my perspective in the world. It's not just this transactional deity that sits above and, behind a cash register saying, oh, mitzvah, good, that's $3.99. Avera, oh, $4.99, take off. It doesn't make sense to me. If you function with consciousness and gratitude, and those things help to balance the emotional lows, so then hopefully there's great opportunity, but it's not consistent, it's not pashut, so I don't know, that's just what keeps on going through. The bad days are tougher, the good days are easy, but that's where I'm at. So
my wife is yelling that my food is getting cold.
Oh, that's more important for sure. All right, great talking to you. Great to see you. I'm appreciating your words of chizuk.
Kosher, Sameach, and healthy.
Amazing. Be well. Bye-bye.